Hey, what's up guys, it's WiseGuyVito here, and today I have an tier list video for you guys, and this one will be on grenades in Helldivers 2 against the Illuminate faction. As always, like, share, and subscribe, and let's get straight into the tier list. So before we start, let's go over the tiers real quick. S tier would be, these are the meta picks, in my opinion, to run at the highest proficiency at level 10 difficulty against the Illuminate faction. A tier is above average. It might have one glaring issue with it, but for the most part, it has above average performance. You can still run these, and these are still competitive picks at level 10 difficulties. B tier is average, not particularly great, but not particularly good either. Just kind of just mid for the most part. C tier is below average. Would love to see some buffs to these grenades in the future, because once they get maybe one or two buffs, they'd be in the running of a or S tier ranking. And then D tier is the dookie tier. This is the bad tier. This is the tier that this grenade needs reworks or just massive buffs to it in order for it to be remotely in the competitive sphere at level 10 difficulty against the Illuminate faction. So, without further ado, let's get straight into the tier list. So, the impact grenades, I do think these are just solid A's, just overall. I think it's probably just solid. Does really good against ground overseers. If you can hit these, hit flying overseers with these, that's fine. Not particularly great. I personally would not be using these against walkers. That's just me. I would just be using my primary or support weapon against walkers, in my opinion. But against like I said before, voteless overseers and sometimes drones, this grenade is fantastic. It also does work against the little shock towers as well, the annoying shock towers. And also, it can blow up ships. So, it's just a solid grenade overall. But, the flying overseers, like I said, you kind of have to be kind of skilled for the most part. That's kind of where the drawback is with this grenade. Other than that, it's a phenomenal grenade. You can definitely use it at level 10 difficulty, and it still would be competitive. High yield explosive, kind of just mid, in my opinion. Kind of like I think the impacts are better, than the high yield explosives. Does great against voteless. All these grenades do okay against voteless, or do decent against voteless. Overseers though, not so much, in my opinion. Voteless tend to run out of the way. They have nice armor, or good armor defense. They tend to run away from them though. That's the problem. Flying overseers, unless you cook this grenade, go ahead and do it. For the most part. I mean, you can definitely try it. It might be a little bit more consistent than the impacts, but for the most part, this feels very mid to me. For the most part, so that's why I'm putting it into the B tier category. Dynamite, solid A. Just it has a really nice big explosion radius to it, and that's what I like about it. It's nice. The one thing that I do wish that this Dynamite did have though, is I wish that the timer was better on it. The timer was better on it, and timer being so the Dynamite has 3 timers on it. It has a 5-second timer, a 15-second timer on it, and a 1-minute timer on it. In my opinion, if you have a 15-minute or 1-minute timer on it, that should translate into a bigger kaboom or a bigger explosion to it, than just because right now, if you set it for 15 or 1 minute, it doesn't matter. It'll still have the same explosion radius as the 5-second, right? So there's really no reason to run a 15-second or 1 minute. So what I would like to see change to these is that 1 minute can explode outside of an Illuminate or just as structures, enemy structures in general. And that's for Terminids, automatons, and Illuminate. And for the Illuminate side of things, if you do set it for 1 minute, it could just cut through the shields, and it's just one massive explosion that would be actually kind of cool. But for the time being, it's just kind of just like a low A tier type of grenade with a nice explosion radius. Like I said, does really good against voteless and overseers for that one reason. But other than that, that's basically it. Seeker grenades. Um, it it's just consistency, right? Um, I'm kind of wrong about these grenades. You know, some folks in the comment section were telling me these are actually very, very good grenades. I don't think that they're top tier by any means because of the consistency of them, right? If I throw this grenade and if there's something that I just want out of the way completely, right? Whenever I ping, like I said before, it still goes for something else completely different that's locked onto it. Unless the grenade was in flight for a very long time, then it will go to the thing that I pinged. But what the sea grenades do very, very well is flying overseers. They hammer these, like they hammer flying overseers, right? And that's where it feels really good. So in my opinion, I think these are a solid A tier pick just overall. If you're struggling with flying overseers, and if you have like one or two of them that are just in the air, the explosion radius of them, and also like them just going straight to the overseer, is kind of good. The problem is that with the consistency of them, I still think that you should be able to have like an option with these grenades, a ping option versus an automatic option. The automatic option is, you know, like you throw the grenades out, they're flying above you, they sense a target or see a target and they go after it. It doesn't matter how many times you ping it, they're locked on, like they're going towards that target. The ping option would be, it doesn't matter if there's 20 enemies surrounding you, they're not going to fly towards any enemy unless you start pinging. That makes more sense to me than what they currently are. And if they got that buff, then that would be fine. But overall, it's not like they do pretty well. Also, I get weird numbers with this, or like with these grenades, like how many kills I actually get with them. Sometimes I throw one, I kill a group of 5, and I get like 25 kills, and I know that's not the case. So these grenades are kind of like off as far as like their kill counter goes. I don't know if that's like a bug. I'm pretty sure it is a bug right now, unless there's some things happening with like the explosion stuff. But for the most part, I think these are very good solid grenades against the Illuminate faction. Frags are okay. They're kind of just like a low A tier. You get 5 of them. They have a nice big explosion radius for voteless and overseers. But for the most part, you know, the fragmentation is pretty good too. But you know, like they're okay grenades. Gas grenades are the best against the Illuminate, bar none. They can destroy ships. They can't destroy like little Tesla towers, but what they do is that they just crowd control. A group of voteless run up on you, throw this down your feet. Voteless come at you as well, especially flying overseers. You know, and you just create amazing CC for yourself, enough to give you nice breathing room, you know, away from the group that's chasing you or shooting you. So gas is definitely going to be an S tier pick. Incendiary, I'm going to put these together. Incendiary Impact and Incendiary Fusees. I just feel like gas is just better because of the fact that it applies confuse and a damage over time. Even though the damage over time is not that great compared to fire, it's just that fire is really good against voteless, and it's like somewhat good against overseers, right? In grenade form. I'm not saying that as far as like flamethrower against, you know, overseers or the torture against overseers, you know, like those are two like that's a different box of frogs. But as far as grenade form goes, they're just solid for the most part, but they're not like S tier in my opinion. So I'm going to put these into kind of like an A tier ranking for the most part. Like they're okay for the most part against like overseers, but they do wonders for groups of groups of voteless. But I do think gas is just a better choice, right? So if you want to do a fire build, you can do that, and you can do it pretty well at level 10 difficulty against the Illuminates. But if you're just sweating out, right, you're just want to bring gas, because gas just does better than the fire grenades in my opinion. Smoke feels terrible. I just think smoke just needs a complete overhaul in Helldivers 2. It just feels like it doesn't work, and that's my problem with them currently. I also think stealthing right now in Helldivers 2 is not in a good spot. I think stealthing needs a buff overall, and until they make those changes, you know, for me it's going to be in the D tier. They just need massive reworks and massive buffs in order for them to be competitive. Maybe some new missions that require you to be stealthy would also be pretty good as well. Stun's S tier. Just great utility. If you have groups of flying overseers, especially groups of overseers. There are times where there will be like 5 or 6 overseers, and they can swarm you very quickly. And because of their armor and how tanky that they are, sometimes you might need a stun rather than like gas or something like that, because a stun keeps them in place, which means that you can get headshots and ways of, damaging one particular part of an overseer body to quickly kill them, right? So I want to put them into the S tier ranking. Thermites are kind of weird for me. I feel like that they only have really one place, in my opinion, which is against walkers, right? You have to be careful when throwing these against walkers, though, because walkers can just one-shot you. They have the capability of that. They have their own Tesla tower in them, right? In my opinion, I would just take these grenades. I would personally, this is just me personally, I would take more or less the A tier grouping of grenades that I have right now, rather than over thermites, because thermites, like I said, like they're really good against automatons and they're really good against the Terminids, but you only have one enemy to deal with on the Illuminate side, and that's a walker, right? Which you can deal with a primary weapon, depending on the primary weapon, but like an adjudicator, Deadeye, there are plenty of other, like support weapons. Like if you have just like a simple machine gun, can take out walkers, right? If you're dealing with walkers that much, then sure, right? Like they do their job fine. But, I don't think that they're that pressing at level 10 difficulty, right? For that reason, I'm going to put them in the A tier. Just like if you're struggling with walkers, you can bring them. But I don't think that they're needed. Like they are the meta, in my opinion, on the Illuminate side. Because let's be frank here. The Illuminate faction is super, super weak right now because there's no enemy variety. There's Voteless and there's Overseers, there's drones and there's walkers. There's only 4 enemies, right? And what do you have to deal with the most in at level 10 difficulty? You're going to be dealing with Overseers more times than none, because Overseers are just, they are the true threat. They're annoying. The ground ones can swat you down and kill you instantly. The flying ones are annoying. They can kill you very, very quickly, and sometimes there could be 4 or 5 of them flying at you, right? Whereas with the walkers can be dangerous, sure, right? But 9 times out of 10, like I said, like you're going to be dealing with dealing with Overseers. If you have dealing with them with a really good primary or like a really good support weapon, but not with thermites. In my opinion, not with thermites. You can use thermites against walkers, and they do okay, but for the most part, if you're having trouble with walkers, then fine, take them. But in my opinion, with walkers in particular, and with the enemy variety that's currently with the Illuminate faction, I just don't think that they're needed as much as if you were to fight like the Terminids or the automatons. So that's why I'm putting them into the A tier slot. And throwing knives, sorry, throwing knives are just not great in my opinion. Yes, sure, they stagger. So what? And yeah, you have a lot of them in your pocket. They need to do bleed. They need to do way more damage than what they're currently doing. They need to fly faster. If they flew faster and did a bleed effect, they'd be like, as far as killing Overseers, right? They probably would be A tier, right? Especially the flying faster. Just be able to hit consistently with them, and them feeling better. That in and of itself would make them at the very least B tier. But give them a bleed effect, give them faster speed, like whenever you throw them, and they'd be a fine throwable, because not technically not a grenade, but it'd be a fine throwable to use at level 10 difficulties against the Illuminate. But this is my tier list. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. I know that there's a ton of grenades that are in the A tier, but you have to understand something about the Illuminate. There's only 4 different types of enemies in the game right now on the Illuminate side of things, and you know, the Illuminate aren't hard. They're just really not that hard. You can take really any of these grenades, even though I rank them and like there's 2 in D tier and stuff like that, right? You can still take these grenades and still run through the Illuminate at level 10, right? It's just, in my opinion, some are definitely better than others. You know, if you just want to meme out at level 10, you can definitely... Meme builds are great at level 10 difficulty on the Illuminate side, because the Illuminate, in my opinion, are just pushovers at this current moment in time. And there's some grenades as well that would be S tier, and you know, or a grenade that you would think would be S tier against the Illuminates, right? Because it's S tier against Terminids and it's S tier against the automatons, for example, like the Thermite, but it might not be S tier against the Illuminate just simply because there's only really one enemy that you're going to be fighting against, and then that's it, right? Whereas with the automatons or Terminids, there's several enemies you can use the Thermites against, right? And it opens up loadouts, right? You can kind of run whatever you want to against the Illuminates, right? Machine guns, you know, you can even run the Stalwart and be perfectly fine. You know, there's just a whole bevy of different things you could be running against the Illuminate, and you know, like, you're not hard pressed to bring these type of equipments that open up the way, you know, like to kind of give you more options, right? The options are there. You can kind of use whatever you want to against the Illuminate and be perfectly fine at level 10. So, as always, like, share, and subscribe. Thank you guys so much for the support so far. Comment down below what you think about grenades against the Illuminate faction. I actually want to kind of hear what y'all's opinions are about grenades in general against the Illuminates. You know, are you following my line of thinking, or am I completely wrong in this tier list ranking? As always, like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.